Hello and welcome to the Sacred Sister Circle. I'm your host, Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and today we're going to have a kind of unique sister circle in the sense that we have very little from the book that we haven't covered yet. In fact, it's just one page, a poem. And so therefore we have most of the circle as sacred movement today. Just get ready to move, get ready to express yourself, get ready to really meditate on what sacred movement means to you, what this gateway has meant to you, and how you plan on implementing sacred movement, not only into dancing in your living room or whatever, but also into your everyday walk, your everyday demeanor, your everyday interactions with others. I'm really trying to carry on that sacred movement you're practicing into your everyday interactions. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the Sister Circle. If you do end up liking it, please go to patreon.com/Sacred Sister Circle and donate $1 a month to continue to support this process, as well as to join a community where you can talk to other sacred sisters who are going through this journey as well as you in the Sister Circle. We call on the ancestors, both known and unknown, to awaken the ancient dancer within us, to allow sacred movement to set our spirit free. May sacred movement leap us into pure exhilaration and stretch us to star Sirius in our inner galaxy. May our dance flesh out our arteries, pump oxygen to our hearts and brains, detoxify our blood, lubricate our joints, and liberate our spirit. May our sacred movements bring our souls to life, our minds to rest, our hearts to balance, and our beings to light. Hitepu. 42 Laws of Mott study, as well as Adinkra study. Last week I did a makeup of one, but then I ended up forgetting to do the 42 laws for the one we were supposed to be doing. Basically, long story short, I missed another one. So last week, the law that I missed was I will not waste the plowed land. I will not lay waste the plowed land. And this, I think, is such an important one because just think about what that's saying. It's saying, it's plowed land. That means not only was that land fertile, but someone put in the effort to prepare it for the next step, to put the seeds. All you have to do at that point is put in the seeds. So in this case, it's, I think, more of a metaphor into the sense that, don't ruin excellent opportunities. Use your common sense when presented with something. In the rush of the moment, it could make sense to just decimate everything and maybe start over, or just not start at all. But then at the same time, you have to admit you're really tripping yourself up at the finish line. Because again, all you would have had to do is put the seeds in, water it, and let everything grow. But instead, what you did was, right at the very bitter end, you're kind of sabotaging yourself and ruining what chances of growth and gain there were to get from this situation. So ensuring that you are respectful, that you're utilizing the resources that you have properly. That is what I read when I read this law. And also, not being destructive generally is something people need a reminder of. Sometimes we forget that we're just being destructive, that, this does not need to be destroyed. And sometimes we need that reminder. Very basic. Next, we have, I will not bear false witness. That was the one for today. I will not bear false witness. And so this one is, another one that speaks to truthfulness, honesty, not creating enemies, not burning bridges where they don't need to be burned. And then also, maintaining your own integrity. If you're bearing false witness, that means, you would be lying on somebody. That means potentially you're helping somebody get away with something they shouldn't have gotten away with, covering up for something, making somebody take the fall for something that they didn't do. These are all things that people call it karma, but really what we're talking about is reciprocity and energetic reciprocity. We're talking about you're putting out into this world, basically that you're not just that you're cutthroat, but that you're willing to like even take down people that don't deserve to be taken down, that sort of thing. And eventually that type of energy does come back to you, right? There's a difference between fighting back, defending yourself, and just lashing out. And bearing false witness is just a form of energetically lashing out. It's sadly, it just cannot lead to, I mean, I'm sure, there's some finagled situation in which it would be moral to do so. But in this, in all general situations of life, there's just really never an excuse to bear false witness. All right, so our Adinkra study for today is G Nayami, which is accept God. God is omnipotent. This symbol expresses the deep faith the Akans have in the Supreme Being. This is a Adinkra symbol, I think, that is very popular. We see this one around all the time. Essentially, this means that there's nothing that your God cannot do, and therefore nothing you cannot achieve without them. Because the Creator is omnipotent, the Creator is within you. In most African communities, generally, there's a book I've read on the subject that explained it so well, and I can't even remember the name. And I want to say it's like prayer in African traditional or in African religions, and it talks about how even in Christianized communities, there's this three-way spiritual connection. Basically, there's the God, the Supreme Being, the main deity, the Creator, however they're going to call them or refer to them. Then there's the ancestors, the ancestral spirits, which, basically blanket even Christian believe, in giving offerings, in giving honor, in remembering the ancestors. This is just, an African custom, an African way of doing things. And then finally, we have the nature aspect, which has, the adherence to nature spirits and, giving veneration and honor to those, as well as, respecting the powers and the forces that they have. So this is the first that I was speaking of, right, is that supreme power that, creates all. And that's kind of, however you feel about it. In essence, the point is that you can involve God in difficult situations, and therefore it can get resolved in a way that it wouldn't get resolved with humans. This is a symbol for acknowledging, thanking, and celebrating for the blessings you have and you've received through the spiritual realm. God is the one who sustains our existence, and humans cannot overpower God. They cannot overpower the spirit realm. They cannot, be the ones who rule over all of that. So this is also a card that reminds you of your space of humility, but also your space of power, because you are not alone. You do have this support system within you. Oh, real quick before I stop, look at my chains, my foot chain. I don't even know if you can see it very well here. It's got like a little amethyst on it. So it's cute. I love it because, I've been telling you guys I don't wear shoes. So getting a pair of barefoot chain or, a set of a barefoot chain was one of my goals for this summer to as up the sacred beauty aspect of me connecting with the earth and nature and all of that. So I really love this one. So I just went on Etsy and searched, foot chain, you know what I mean? That's all I did. And I found this one. And I found another one that I really loved, but it was like $40 each one of the little ones. I was like, who sells these separate? Anyway, I totally wanted to show these off for just a second and encourage you guys to go barefoot. This could also help with your sacred movement, and it can be a fun way to express sacred beauty. Woman Rhythms. Written for my mother, performed for my father, by Jerry Ann Francis Scott. The women of Dakar carry drum beats in their hips. Da-doom, da-doom. Their breasts echo soft tom-tom rhythms. Their hands, sometimes staccato, sometimes still, on the way to the market. The women of Dakar wear many colors at one time, embracing all the magic power of a rainbow as sisters of the sun, which glints off their smiles and takes refuge in their ebony knowing eyes. Gold wears the woman of Dakar to make itself look good. The women of Dakar sauna on white silver beaches, allow Atlantic waters to caress their feet and soles. The women of Dakar anoint their liquid limbs with oils of coconut, peanut. It is an ancient easiness carved in their cheeks, woven into their braids. The old women and the tree monkeys watch carefully as the women of Dakar sing love noises that curl with village smoke around corn stalks, peanut plants, and the men of Dakar. Broad bowls of fish, fruits, fabric, flowers, balanced on tall heads. The women of Dakar know how to get the laundry clean without phosphate detergent. The women of Dakar, and if the women in Detroit, Brooklyn, Indianapolis, Memphis, Philadelphia, Chicago, Watts, Rio de Janeiro, Montreal, Atlanta, Portsmouth, San Juan, Baltimore, Kingston, Georgetown, your town, don't walk with music in them anymore, then something terrible has happened. The women of Dakar carry music in their walk to the market, to the pier, to the university, to the airport, and the children watch the women and learn how to become regal. I really love that poem about the women of Dakar, which at the end, right, is revealed to us that you should be replacing the word Dakar with your own hometown, with wherever you're from or you identify with. Be, you know, that Oakland, be that, you know, Raleigh, North Carolina, be that Atlanta, Georgia, wherever you're from. That should be a place that you take pride. The women of where I come from, you know, they have pride in their culture. They have that rhythm. They've carried on the traditions of the bloodline. They still have that beautiful vibrancy, right, that we recognize our fellow Black women to have wherever we are in the diaspora. And so, really identifying with that, like that you are of the bloodline, no matter where you're from, no matter where you ended up, that power is still within you. I thought that was such a powerful message. And then the ending part of it was also what I really wanted to touch on. I thought it was a good idea, right, as we're ending the gateway, for us to really focus on what, not only, as I said before, you know, the concept of doing yoga or dancing in your home, in your bedroom, in your living room, but also incorporating sacred movement wherever you go, be that the airport, the grocery store, the walking through your house. How do you incorporate sacred movement into your every move, into your every demeanor, into your character? That's what being a sacred woman is about, is making sacred movement a lifestyle, not just something that you schedule in time for, not just something that you know, point to, like that's what that is, but to also be like, it melds so effortlessly with everything that you do that you can't tell where the sacred movement starts or ends, you know, and the other gateway begins. You can't tell which part of that is sacred movement or sacred beauty, because it's all kind of one. You can't tell which is if it's, you know, sacred words. It has that sacred words element so strongly in it, because through the movement you can tell what is being said or expected, or, you know what I'm saying? So finding those ways to really incorporate sacred movement not only into, getting that physical, blood moving and, oxygen moving throughout you, but also making it something that is integrated into who you are. So I challenge you to think back on all the gateways that we've discussed so far, that we've covered, and try and find a way to incorporate sacred movement into that in a way that applies to your everyday life, interactions with other people, interactions with yourself, going through your daily schedule, that sort of thing. Hey, so I wanted to bring back us smoking together because I really missed that. And I mean, it's been kind of a long time, I feel like, since I've smoked regularly in the sister circle. When we first started, I was super every single time, you know what I mean? I always had my little spliff rolled. And that's why the sister circles used to be like 2.5 hours long, always, like protocol 2.5 to 3 hours long, is because I would be like out there, and then halfway through I'd be like, all right, let's smoke our spliff. And then it would be like not just weed, it would be like herbs and stuff, and like all of them have a different high, so it's like you start mixing all that stuff together, and basically I would get spliffed and kind of lose my place. So hopefully, with this new setup and everything, I can bring that back. But instead of it just kind of being a free-for-all, I thought we would specifically, think about and contemplate our bodies while we smoked, how our diet is doing, switching to live foods more, cooking more, plant-based, sustainable living. We can really just concentrate on, in our addictions, obviously, too, drinking, I know, is probably the most common because alcohol is kind of America's drug of choice. We've always been really heavily alcoholic, and we really like to encourage people to drink. There's like all those jokes about like, if you're a mom at home, you need to be drinking wine all day, and if you're with friends, you should be doing shots and blah blah blah. And no, you don't, first of all, because they come to find out the number one killer of white women is that wine they like to joke about so much. Not the number one, but pretty much the number one. It's like one of the top killers. It's like funny because, you think back on all those jokes you've seen with those huge wine glasses and like, oh, it's the stay-at-home mom or the housewife and she just drinks Chardonnay all day, or this is her drink is she just sits and drinks her Merlot all day. And like, it's like a huge part of our culture to joke about that, but at the same time, it is literally killing people. It is literally killing women. It's thankfully the statistics drop drastically when you leave the white community. Black women are some of the least likely to get an alcohol addiction and die from it. We tend to die from other things. But at the same time, I do think that there is a culture around drinking that does seep into our community as well, and does seep into, our culture, just because we are Americans and we do live here, and, there is a liquor store on every block and you can access it easily and no one judges you for the most part. If you can, even if you can't really handle your liquor, people don't judge you that much. Like, you have to really consistently be like messing up with your alcoholic tendencies for people to hold that over your head, think about it for months and months, afterwards. So anyways, as I was saying, we're going to be talking about, all of those things. I guess I'll start with myself, since I'm the one here talking. Drinking, I think I've done a better job than I thought. And I'm actually at a very unique space right now where it's not that I think I'll never drink again, because obviously I just don't see that as being realistic. And then I also know that, like, when people pop some gin around me, I'm always like I can smell it, So I know that, like, at some point in the future, I'm probably going to be drinking again. But I'm actually at a place right now where, interestingly, I don't feel that urge, or like, I don't feel like, oh, I have to go back now, or, I feel like I can't. what am I trying to say? Like, somebody one time was saying to me, they were like, oh, I don't think I've been sober a full year since I became legal to drink. I've just been drinking ever since, And I was like, damn, I don't think I've actually, I've gotten really close to a full year. I'm going to say that, when I did my Sacred Woman training, Sacred Woman practitioner, I stopped drinking at that time, stopped smoking. I stopped doing a bunch of things for about a year. But, like, on my own, like, just regular deciding not to drink, that has not happened for a full year. And so, I was just like, wow, at the time when they were saying that, I was like, could I give this up for a full year? And this was years ago. And I was like, no. was kind of my unequivocal answer. But right now, in the space I'm in right now, after having been, going through the journey a little more seriously with you guys this year on my own, without, somebody else looking over my shoulder, like, are you doing it? Are you getting better? Are you progressing? Are you becoming a sacred woman? It's just doing that to myself. I do feel in my heart right now, I'm like, damn, like, I don't feel like the urge to drink any further. My daughter just came in asking for a snack. Well, not a snack, like, she wanted more food. But I'm like, girl, you just ate a ton of oatmeal. Like, give it 5 minutes and let it settle. Let it settle. All right. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about before she had me go out there and do all that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the chop. I mean, oh, I was also going to talk about my diet. I just talked about the alcohol, but the diet-wise, I've actually been doing a little bit better as well. I've been cutting out a lot of stuff, been trying to incorporate more. And then my other main goal for helping make this dietary lifestyle work is focusing on my cooking skills, focusing on really trying to make things that taste good, that I know how to make. That's kind of my goal food-wise. Because it's really difficult. It's like people will show you all this stuff like, oh, look, and then you can make this and you can make this and it's so tasty and being vegan is so tasty. But then it's like, okay, but I don't want to be like soaking this for 5 hours and then like that's just the first step in a 30-step process. And I'm like, no, it's like there should be only like one soaking, and then blend it and eat, or one this and then do this and this. I'm like, I can't do all that. I can't do all this stuff. So that's my goal, is to really get those staples, decide what tastes good to me, get those staples, and then further to really, memorize how to cook them so that there's something I can just whip up from memory, and that there's something that therefore I keep the ingredients to in my house, so that it's like there's always one of those things that I can kind of whip up and create should I need to be. The other thing I really want to warn though, do not completely eliminate carbs. A small amount of carbs, something like 100 milligrams or 130 or something like that, I don't know, is needed for brain function. Literally, your brain uses carbs. And so when you like cut out carbs altogether, like the keto diet, there is something called like ketosis or something very similar to that, which is basically it goes too far because you use so little, or you now have so little carbs that your body is now using other things and releasing other things. And long story short, you don't want a bunch of those things released in you. You want the carbs, not a ton of carbs. You're not trying to eat the whole loaf, but do make sure, you're getting some form of that carbs into your body, just to keep the brain function elevated. It should be like, I don't know, it can be like a banana, it can be a plantain, it can be a small potato or half of one of those bigger potatoes, it can be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it can be, however it is you're going to do it. It should be moderate, right? We shouldn't be overindulging in carbs constantly, but never completely eliminate something from your diet. Like, I don't know, I've just been seeing a lot of stuff about the keto diet again, and I'm like, guys, there's kind of a reason that died in the 70s when it started the first time. It's because it's like, it sounds right, like, oh, like carbs, they're just this like white spongy thing that's just gonna make you fat. It's just pure sugar. But in reality, it's like way more complex than that. So I just want to make sure we're all keeping ourselves healthy. And I know at the during the sacred foods thing, we did talk about, you know, not doing carbs that first month, not overdoing it on carbs, not relying on carbs. And that's just so we can break like the carb addiction, that addiction to like chewing things and getting full like that. And then, you know, obviously it doesn't stay in your stomach very long. So then you're super hungry really soon after. That's the reason why we cut down on carbs in the Sacred Woman lifestyle. But carbs are definitely not the enemy, and they are something that we should be eating. All right, I'll show you my bowl. So you know I'm not a wimp. No, I'm kidding. Oh, fuck.
I am the woman who lightened the darkness. I have come to lighten the darkness. It is lightened. I have overthrown the destroyers. I have adorned those who are in the darkness. I have been made to stand for those who weep, who hide their faces, who sunk down. They looked upon me then. I am that I am. Woman. I am Neferatu. And I am that I am. I am the light. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes I am. I'm unlimited, divine possibilities. I am that I am, 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 that I am. I am pure at a place of passage that is great. I am pure, I am Sekit ra asht aru meti he ha Seres ra. I am that I am. Seres ra.
This is a movement meditation that you can find at on page 186 and of your book Sacred Woman. Basically, we start with our face just moving and release and relax, let your tongue relax, all of that. Then we're going to move our head, then we move our shoulders, then you move your arms, you open your wings of Mat, then we move our chest, our lungs, then we'll move our belly, our hips, and our legs. And this meditation has a focus, moving meditation has a focus on stretching. This is kind of a meditation to start off your day or really connect deeply with, your day, or at any time that you choose. So just the time that you want to connect with your body, do sacred movements, this moving meditation, that's kind of the point of it. So excuse my kids or not. And you can always mute me and, play your own stuff. I just play the, I'm going to probably play, I'm not even sure what I'm going to play yet. We'll see what I end up playing. We'll see. this final movement exercise, we are going to start with 100 fire breaths, doing a color visualization. This is also found around page 186 in the book. And the color for this gateway is orange. And this brings light and movement. So let the symbolism and the power and the glory of the color orange really fill your mind and your movements after you finish your 100 fire breaths. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next Monday as we start the Gateway for Sacred Beauty. If you liked what you saw, please go to patreon.com/Sacred Sister Circle and donate $1 and you can join our little community. And until next time then, may your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads.